Hey y'all, today we're working on this forested corner. Let's go ahead and jump on into that project. Okay, so just a little refresher of the plan here. Train track all the way around will need to be ballasted. So I actually stole this corner from what used to be down there. So I just literally just pulled it up and it fit in this base plate just exactly as it needed to be. And so I've actually got what's that, about a quarter of the turn done already. So that's awesome. And that will actually make it easier for me to do the rest of it. Because I have a template to work off of. I need to remove this. I'm probably just going to go ahead and remove it for right now, and I'll fix it later. But that's going to require pulling out some wiring, pulling out some lights. So that's not just a quick little, plop up and go. So I'm going to remove that for right now. Set that off to the side. I don't know if we'll get to that today or not, because that's going to be quite a little bit of a project. So that's at least going to get pulled out and set off to the side for right now. So we're going to ballast a little bit. We're going to get this pulled out. We're going to get this train track kind of figured out. Again, I will have to kind of figure out a ballast plan for this because the L gauge standard doesn't account for this type of track. I mean, it does account for straight, but not straight on an angle. So I will need to get that kind of figured out and then maybe start to assess what this tunnel situation is going to look like. So I will need to ballast for sure kind of back here so I know what spacing to leave for the tunnels. And then I'll maybe look at this treehouse and where exactly that's going to go and maybe start to get that ready to be mills plated. I'm not going to go too far with this because I am going to order a lighting kit for it. And so I will need to take it back apart to do the lighting kit and all that. So I don't know how far I'm going to necessarily go with that, but I will at least get it in place because then I can start to carve out the river as well, because the river will have to cross this track maybe in two different places. And I want to build a little bridge or something over that. And so I will need to kind of account for that as well sooner rather than later. So we're going to jump into these projects. And first we're going to do our little bit of demolition, pulling this guy out. And then we'll take a look at some other things. So here's a little bit of food for thought. What actually is the front side of this Lego treehouse? This is the side that the Lego box art seems to indicate is the front side. Now, the problem with this being the front side is that this is going to require some really advanced and maybe crazy mills plating because this is currently at like a 45-degree angle. So honestly, as much as I want to just go with the box art and make this the front, this is probably not going to be the front. And so if we just square this, does this make this the front? You're going to be able to see probably at least two sides easily. Probably this side and this side from where it's going to sit. But should it maybe be this way? Should it maybe be... Probably not this way because you don't see any of the doors, but you can see into the building. So obviously I'm going to light it. So, you'll be able to see into stuff. I don't know. I think maybe it makes the most sense for either this side or this side to be the front. But I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys take as the front? Like I said, I guess I probably could maybe, since I'm going to pull this completely off this base, I probably could maybe figure out a way to set this in on an angle, but it might not be worth the hassle, especially if this is an acceptable front or this is an acceptable front. I'm thinking this might be the front, to be honest. But let me know what you think in the comments. Which side do you take is the front side, or do you take it on the angle as being the front side? Let me know. Okay, so now that I got the tree out of the way, I ended up pulling up a lot of that plate, actually, because there's a lot of wires jammed under, which I'm sure you saw. And all that's going to change. So I needed to get that all out of there. This is my feed. Oops. It's stuck up in there. This is my feed from the power in this plate to feed this little area. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to pull this out and really solidify these two plates together so it acts as one solid Mills plate. Just so I avoid some of this little extra bits that kind of fall apart. Because that's actually one of the first reasons the top of that tree broke off was because this plate moved a little bit on me and I kind of went to catch it and I kind of hit the plate pretty hard and the top of the tree went over. So I think I'm going to really solidify those two plates together, but that can get pulled out and worked out on the bench. The main reason this got pulled out was to get this path set for the train track and get that worked in. And then this will kind of be, I don't want to say secondary, but that's going to adapt to the track because the track kind of has to go where it has to go. This, I can be creative about kind of what this backside train divider kind of looks like, you know. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to doing some ballasting. All right, so I got this little bit, and actually all the way over here, all ballasted. If you've never done ballast track, I have a video about it. I might try to tag it here if I remember. But it just takes a while, and I have found that I've had to actually kind of customize this end of the turn. So this end I was able to just kind of copy what I've done before because this was all done to the L gauge standard. So I knew that that was all correct, so I just had to copy it, which is fine. And then obviously I had to make up this because that doesn't exist in the L gauge standard. And then I found that I think I might be just twisting it just a little bit because it's one stud wider this way. And so I had to actually kind of make this up as well. And so I just kind of laid it there and then just studded around it or bricked around it, however you want to think about that. And then just some colorful tiles up the middle. And I think it turned out pretty well. I think this is working really well. It's kind of funny to look at it, and you can see it's probably better in real life than you can on the camera. But these are actually the bottom plates, and so I will actually probably add some extra plate and stuff kind of in that area just to stretch out the ballast, because the ballast is super uniform, and actual train ballast is nowhere near that uniform. I'm not going to be able to get that in with one hand on the camera. But okay, so I got that done. I can do the back yet, and then I need to wait for the switch, but I can probably actually ballast the bottom side of the switch well, or the plate side of the switch well, as long as I got the parts. I have my trusty bag of gray 1x that I'm slowly working through, and lots of other parts. And so I'm going to continue on ballasting, but this was definitely a huge step in the right direction as far as getting this part done. Okay, took me probably about 4 hours to get to this point. Ballasting just takes a lot of time and a whole lot of parts. So I got all this in. Obviously this was the part that I kept from before. I did all of this. I got the at least base part of the switch and the straight track in. I don't have the switch or the straight track yet. And so I'm just waiting on that to come yet. And then I'll be able to get that ballasted and popped in there. This was definitely the harder part aside from the switch. Getting the base in is definitely the harder part than actually doing this loose top part. That's not too terribly difficult. It's just parts intensive. Very parts intensive. I will say that the switch track is the only one that I do follow the directions really pretty closely. All the rest I kind of just get close, you know. But the switch track, just because it is so intricate, and some of these parts actually pop down in between the switch, it's really critical to really kind of pay attention on this one so that it all lines up correctly. But yeah, so happy to get that done and knocked out of the way. I think next I'm going to rough in kind of what this is going to look like. And so then I can work on this area and get this figured out. But I think I need to do this next to kind of really close that up and get that done. So that's what I'm going to do next. So I actually had to pull the tunnel out to work on something behind, which I'll show you in a second. But I thought I'd show you the support section underneath here. It's not the prettiest, and I would have probably used Duplo down here, except you're going to be able to see this. So at some point, I'm probably going to snot some plate, some gray plate here, so that you can't see any of this. But I think Duplo would have been a little too large for any of that to actually be feasible. And so I went with this. And this was also kind of more in line with what I had the area for. And then I used Technic to go all the way across here. I used normal Technic pieces to pin 2 of these together to make it longer so that it spanned the entire length. And then kind of built off of that to make that all work. And then these I kind of just built into the facade as I was going, so that I had extra support if I needed. I still might maybe connect there, but this is actually really deceptively strong, actually. I can push down pretty hard on all this, and there's not really a lot of flex. So yeah, let's get this put back in and I'll show you what I got. All right, so I got it in to like place. I got this area kind of roughed out to where I want it to be. And so this was my goal, was to get this all ballast as much as I could, get this roughed in. And actually I went kind of beyond this because I wasn't even planning on getting the top on, but the top was kind of turned out to be integral to the structure, because originally I was going to make this like a mill's plate I could pop out. But I decided it was better if I just made it all structural together. And so that's all together. I had to, if you notice, something's different, right? This is where the wall used to come straight across, and it would stop there. And here's why. Train. So if I would have left the wall to where it was, even back here, it was actually clipping the corner of the train. And so I had to bump out this last little panel and then bump out the tunnel even further. I still haven't quite decided what the best look here is. I might do like an angled piece across here to actually kind of secure these two together. But this was kind of what I had to do to make this all work. And like, you know, you can see there is still not a whole lot of clearance there, but it clears, as does this one, right? So that has the opposite problem. You gotta watch the nose coming around. And so those are the two that I check just to be sure, because I think those are kind of my maximum swing distance. And these tunnels are the same height as the existing tunnels, so I know that they'll work for all my trains. And so yeah, by the way, look how big these cars are. These cars are ginormous. There's 2 of these. Ginormous. Anyways, cool. So that's where we're going to stop for today. Got this roughed in. Got this ready for wiring. This is where the tree's going to go. That's why there's a hole there. I left this out just because I know I was going to pull it out to do wiring anyways. Yeah. So we got everything roughed in, ready to go. I got to think through kind of the treehouse situation and maybe start on that a little bit. I'm going to work on this probably pretty soon. And yeah, this area is really starting to shape up really fast. And I really like the way that this is going. I also like that there's a gap now between the end of the platform and the hotel. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. And thank you for watching.